Hey, what's up, La Familia? You crazy football-loving nutters. This is Ray Hudson, and you are luxuriating in listening to the Inter Miami podcast with the stupefyingly magnificent Jay and Alex. Two lads who are as electrifying as a hairdryer thrown into a hot tub. Stay tuned, because you know what it's going to be. It's going to be magisterial with an amplifier.
The cross goes, he's done it again. Taylor squares it for Victor Ulloa. It's one up. Ulloa and Taylor. Job done for Inter Miami. Let it in by Moses. What? 6. It's 2 for Miami. Damian Lowell doubles the lead. Some days you can just sense something wicked. This way it comes.
Campeones. Can't sing that much better given the voice issues I'm having right now, but ooh, boy, are we coming to you in good spirits yet again, and probably the highest spirits of any podcast that we've ever released or had the privilege of being on. It is just a phenomenal feeling, a phenomenal redemption for this squad, for all the fans after many years of hardship. I'm at a loss for words. A lot of people were taking in. Heard some of you guys were maybe tearing up or crying. Is that anyone want to open up and be vulnerable right now?
I can go right into it, man. Man. I always said I probably would cry the first time we won a title, and we won it, and I held it together. But when Messi passed the armband to Yedlin, I lost it. That was a good moment for me, and you guys all know, everybody who's listens to the pod knows I've been critical and said before that I wasn't 100% a Messi fan. But dude's winning me over, man. Not just winning trophies, but it's the small things that he's doing, the Marvel celebrations for his kids, the passing of the armband to Yedlin, man. That was a special moment, and that got me right in the feels. And if you didn't feel something in that moment, you're a post-Messi fan. And you didn't understand the significance, is my point in saying that.
Yeah, when they're tossing him up, and, the whole team tossing him up, and the pure joy to see on his face with everything he's done and everything he's won, there's some of the things, he can be cynical. Okay, he gives an interview, he's going to say, how much he loves it here and all that. But there you see it, and that couldn't be faked. Guy that's won everything and then some, just pure joy on his face. He was just having a ball. Yeah. I think he was really happy of what he's helped the team to accomplish.
See Murder? You cry at all? You get emotional?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It felt very full circle. It was nice. I said it in our Discord, but it wasn't too long ago. I remember watching Inter Miami lose 5-0 to New England, catching a red card in the 15th minute. 0-0 draws against Chicago. So it's nice to see the team actually put together a string of decent performances consecutively, because it's something we never really have had in history. So it's cool. It's a welcome celebration.
It is. Well, welcome everyone to the Inter Miami podcast. I am Jay Kington, joined by more of the IMPC universe, none other than Branton Griffin, who I think some of our listeners are aware of. We've also got Gary McLaughlin. Gary does a lot of stuff behind the scenes, plays a advisor consigliere type of role. Gary, have we had you on one before?
No, I was on the Freedom to Scream with Branton and Callie, but I have not been on the main podcast before.
And the World Cup coverage.
That's true, and there's World Cup stuff, but
it seems like
mostly I just kind of try to come and, bring up the average age of the pod squad and everything. So.
That World Cup coverage seems like it was 2 years ago. That's crazy. And none other than Caden DeLisa, who I believe we had on the first Freedom to Scream. He is the editorial chief for the IMPC squad and universe. How are you settling in? I'm assuming the S on the cap stands for Southside Chicago.
Yeah, it's my makeshift White Sox hat. Not quite a White Sox hat, but it works. It works. I don't know one game, so but by game 4 or 5, I'll finally get a real one.
There we go.
But yeah, no, it's nice up here. I'm loving it. The weather's nice. It's a bit better than the 115-degree Miami heat, so no complaints from me.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed the Nashville weather, but good to have you guys on. Thank you for making the time as we continue the rotation and introductions and more involvement from everyone associated and involved with the Inter Miami podcast. So there's not really a ton of things to talk about outside the obvious, which was the phenomenal victory we had, the most stressful live sporting event probably of my entire life. I feel like I shaved off a few months of the end of my life just watching this. I at one point felt almost like I was going to fade. I felt like I was having heart palpitations as many of us were all linked up there together, going through probably the most intense PKs I can remember outside of what was that, United and Sevilla in the Europa Cup 2021, I think.
Yeah, I had bad flashbacks of that as a United fan, and I know fans out there he's sympathizing.
As a Chelsea fan, you didn't even bring up the FA Cup final.
That was the other one,
2 years ago.
We actually did discuss that, yeah. But I chose to leave that one out, and that brings me to a question that actually Chloe asked me: does anyone know what the record for most rounds of PKs is?
No, that's a good question.
Surprisingly, that actually wasn't even the most PKs in Leagues Cup or rounds of PK. Because I remember I think it was in the group stage. I was watching. I think it was Lyon versus Vancouver. That in like 17 or 18 rounds. I think the final PK score was like 17-16.
Jeez,
that one went quite a while.
I knew they went the distance. I didn't know they went that many.
Yeah, no, it was like a 30-minute shootout.
Oh gosh, God bless those fans' hearts.
So longest.
The fact that there were only 3 misses out of 22 kicks taken, 3 misses. That's incredible.
It's wild. Either great PKs or keepers just guessing the wrong way. It's such a crapshoot.
It's a lot of keeper guessing the wrong way.
It's a lot. It's a whole crapshoot when you get into PKs.
But it is.
Brandon, what did you find?
So longest penalty shootout in history is a non-league 10th tier in the English football pyramid. 54 penalties.
Oh my god!
Each 54 each or combined.
Washington against Bedlington, and Washington won 25-24.
Oh, combined, that is ridiculous.
But they took 54 penalties total.
That is insane.
So a couple misses in there, but holy crap.
Well, I guess let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. Let's start from the beginning here. So this game, from the first 10 minutes, something we experienced for the first time since Messi's been here and in the entirety of the tournament was we finally met a formidable team, one that would challenge us and one that would really push us to give everything we have and do everything we can to find a way. I think a lot of people knew and know what type of team Nashville is, especially if you're an Inter Miami fan, because they're kind of our, sister or brother, twin expansion side coming out in 2020. But a team completely different philosophy than Inter Miami, built out of the back, whereas we were trying to get more flashy names. What were you, I guess, going into this, because I know that we were busy traveling, Branton, and we didn't get the Trav Chats audio over to you to doctor up so that we could post that before the game. It seemed everyone was pretty confident that we were going to win. I think some were like 4-2s or 3 whatever. I came out with 2-2, and I said I think we're going to go to penalties. And for every once in a while, I say something that is correct and accurate, and I get to be happy about it. But man, the hell that put on my body, and probably all of us four, was not great. I mean, this is a team that just does so well at being disciplined, at holding their lines. They've got an amazing back line. I'd say probably top 2 or 3 defenses in the league. Apparently, I guess Philly would be that number 1 defense, but we seem to struggle more against Nashville. I just, it's a tough team, man. It really is. What did you guys think of, like the opening minutes before that first goal?
I think going back to what you were saying with the defense, I think the real, at least I kind of was thinking as I was going through the highlights, as you said, Philly arguably has the best defense in the league, and we kind of carved them up. But with Nashville, they have their back line maybe not as good player to player as someone like Philly, but they have players who have been in situations like that. 6-8 months ago, you had Walker Zimmerman and Shaq Moore lining up against Phil Foden, Jack Grealish, Harry Kane. You can't say the same for Kai Wagner, whoever else is on Philly. So they've been in that situation. They know how to handle the pressure. Yeah, Damian Lowe. They've been in those big stages. They know how to handle it. They know how to approach players like Messi and Alba and Busquets. So I think that was probably the difference. They were able to settle in a lot easier than a team. Philly withstanding a team like Orlando or Dallas, where it was a lot more sporadic. Like Nashville was much more compact defensively. They stayed in their formation, and they knew how to stick to it.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I took away from the game, and everybody gives Philly a lot of credit and Jim Curtin a lot of credit, and people, Jim Curtin, one of the better coaches in the league, and not to take anything away from him because he does the most with the least, I think, in the league with the homegrowns and the draft picks that they put into their team. But I think Gary Smith developed a game plan. He installed it, and his players followed it to a T. I think it's very hard to look at the small sample size that we have for Tata and say, he's come up against a coach who really gave him trouble. And I think Gary Smith outcoached Tata this game. I think he had a game plan. I think his players bought into it, stuck to it, and they did not give anybody any room. Even the goal that Messi scored, if it's anybody else on this planet, that's not even an opportunity to take a shot.
Yeah.
Two defenders closing down with Zimmerman coming in as well to cover the hole. Messi had to have pinpoint accuracy to get that in there. And from the beginning, their center backs bossed everything. Joseph, I didn't even see Joseph for most of the game because they did such a great job of containing him. And what we've seen is Tata uses Joseph like a decoy. He tries to use Joseph to draw out the center backs so that it opens up the center of the field so Busquets can pass it out to Taylor or to Messi and kind of have them playing off of each other. And those center backs didn't bite. They were like, all right, Joseph, you want to go ahead and beat us? We'll let you do that. But we're gonna cover Messi and put a body on him. And that's what they did. And it was, I watched the whole game and I was just like, holy crap, this is the most tense game we've ever been a part of.
Yeah, I mean,
I just
the discipline
never felt totally comfortable.
The discipline was there through and through, and to your point, Gary Smith came up with a plan, and he stuck to it. And I think the difference between the plan he was able to come up with, everyone tried to come up with a plan against Messi, and it wasn't the right plan, and then they tried to adjust in the second half. I think Gary came out with the right plan and was able to initiate it exactly, as he wanted. Gary, what were your thoughts?
Well, kind of like the discipline that you were saying was really the big difference if we're comparing how Nashville played us versus how Philadelphia played us, because it was that third-minute goal by Joseph that against Philly, and that changed the game. They had to start chasing the game a little bit more, maybe, because pretty much every goal in that game, it's not like we were having possession and set up and breaking them down. They're pretty much breaks to some extent, whether full-on breaks or kind of partial breaks after turnovers of the ball. And but I think part of that all started because we got that early goal, whatever. They had the little bit of the slip. I mean, Joseph got just enough of a step on the defender there. We get the goal in 3 minutes, and they started chasing the game, and that opened things up a little bit more for us going the other way again. I kind of wonder, what would have happened? Would it have kind of gotten into another, kind of a scratch and incline type of fight like Nashville was? Because they were kind of doing the same thing. Nashville and Philadelphia both, they wanted to hit Busquets especially. they wanted to knock him down. They wanted to like get him frustrated, as well as denying him the ball, because if you can deny him the ball, then it's hard. Then it really kind of changes. It's hard to play through the middle, play through Messi. We have to kind of try to play around it a little bit. So yeah, I think, like you said, that discipline, that was the big difference for me between Nashville and Philadelphia. Nashville stayed disciplined early on.
Yeah, I mean, and Philadelphia was without Julian Carranza, who is more than just an attacker. He's also a creator up there, on the front line. They were also without Gazdag, so they were not a full team. Although I still think the result probably would have been the same. But I truly feel like Nashville is probably the most complete team in the entire league, from front to back. Our back line has been very sketchy at times. It's been a lot better as of late, but a part of having an amazing defense is just having an amazing possession, and that's what we have now. We are, I'm trying to remember. It certainly has been a Leagues Cup game, maybe Cruz Azul if I am missing something, but we've had the majority of possession and comfort moving the ball through ever as we poke and we prod. But Nashville, their back line is real. It's true. Outside of that, you've got Fafa Picot and you've got Alex Mule, who run the wings defensively and offensively. You've got Hani Mukhtar, who is low-key one of my favorite players. Big Hani fan. I mean, he is a threat coming out of the midfield. He can play up top, be a threat out of there. He is shifty. He works. Seems like he works hard. He's a higher work rate than every other player on the pitch. And then they've got Serge, their kind of newest toy, who's really developing into quite the beast. I mean, we had our hands full, and nothing but respect to them. And hard fought game, and then it finally opens up. Right? I don't even know if it opens up. That's probably not the right word, but Messi just doing Messi things. And to your point, Brandon, no, if that was any other player in the world, like,
yeah,
nothing's gonna happen. Just to be able to cut, shift, find a little bit of open space, and then just doink, perfect curler, top deck. That's what you want. That's what you want. Like, you can't even really be mad. Like, obviously Nashville's going to be mad at that, but like, those are the ones you just see like, all right, like no one can do anything about that.
And he's had a lot of those already.
he's had
a share of those in just 7 games. He is a cheat code,
Yeah.
And it kind of almost feels like that at times too, like it's hard to even compare the difference in quality of Messi versus the rest of the league,
Well,
and I mean, there's good players in the league, but almost any other league, at least any top 5 league in Europe, Messi's going to be the best player, but he's not going to have that gulf of difference between what he can do versus, kind of what, say, the average is in the league. It's just crazy.
And so, yeah, I agree with that. But at the same time, like we're talking about, and we just said, like, Messi scored a bunch of, like, incredible goals that no one else could score. And I think when we say something like that, we have to acknowledge that the defenders are not just, like, blowing assignments and he's just blowing past and getting these open netters or, sitting down the keeper. Like, he's having to work to score these goals. And, like, I hate hearing that, he's doing so well because of the quality of MLS when the defenders are forcing him to, like, make otherworldly goals. Because, like, 2 milliseconds later, and one of those defenders is already in that lane, and Messi doesn't make that goal. And we're talking about Nashville winning Leagues Cup. Like, I don't want to take anything away from Messi, but I think it's also unfair of us to say that he's doing this because the quality in MLS isn't where it is in La Liga, because, obviously it's not there, but I don't think the gulf is as big as people are making it. I think we're closing in.
I agree with you. I mean, like so I rewatched the second half, right? Because I like to try and rewatch them just to see everyone close up, right? Because we were pretty high up there in the beautiful Geodis Park, by the way. I will say, what a beautiful stadium. I really hope that we can look towards that and take bits and pieces for when Drive Pink comes out. But I believe it was Robert Taylor that passed into Messi, but like he's not even attributed to the assists or accredited to the assist, I guess. Messi had to create all that on his own. Like it was truly a spectacular, just classic Messi doing Messi things. And, after that, felt like the game might open up a little bit. That was the 23rd minute. Then it was like, okay, all right, like there's the first one, just like all the other games, like we're about to drop 4 and no. And then we kind of scrap and claw our way to the end of the first half. And then even though Gary Smith had a great game plan, he did make some tweaks. He didn't need to change the game plan entirely because it was basically working, but he just needed to make some changes here and there, which seemed to work because, man, Nashville came out just a notch up. And you could really tell that there was at times where it felt like the game was getting away with us or getting away from us. There were a lot of attacks popping up, a lot of crosses, multiple headers coming in and stuff like that. And that's kind of where I'm not going to say like the tide turned, but like I think a lot of us realize like, oh, we are kind of locked in. This is going to be a tough fight all the way to the finish line.
Yeah, no, we came out at halftime and, I felt good after we got that first goal. The movement that we were seeing from the rest of the team, not just Messi and Taylor, really encouraged me. Busquets was having a good game, but then Nashville came out at halftime and they were like, yeah, you may have gotten one on us, but we're going to claw this back. And, I think an unfortunate thing is, and fortunate for us is, Christoph was pretty much able to shut down a lot of Mukhtar's movement. There were a couple of chances that Mukhtar had in the second half that I thought on a good day, he probably would have converted and we probably would have been down. I don't think it would have gone to penalties had Mukhtar put in his usual stellar performance because, to me, he kind of disappeared at sometimes, especially during the attacks, and he just didn't have that killer instinct that he normally does that could have finished us. But, all credit to Gary Smith and Nashville. Like they were the better team for the second half, and I felt, especially with the subs that we made, bringing on Ruiz and Ulloa and Gomez, I felt like those were very defensive moves, even Campana, because I think Campana definitely tracks back a lot more than Joseph does, and I felt like those moves probably done a little bit sooner than Tata normally does or wants to make a move like that. But I felt like those were like, we're going to like kind of park the bus. Like we need Campana's height because we're getting killed on set pieces. Every time they had a corner or a set piece, I was freaking out.
Yep.
And
but he
felt,
cleared one late, which seemed very crucial.
Yeah,
so it was needed.
And they had a lot of set pieces. They had a lot of the set pieces, a lot of corners.
Yeah,
and that
Drake was a busy man.
Yeah, and just
if it wasn't for that man,
and then
we're not lifting that trophy.
What is this? 12 minutes after the start of the half, right? Is that what it is? Yeah, basically 12 minutes. That equalizer goal comes off a Sam Surridge corner, and Fafa Picault gets ahead to it. Not, the prettiest header, cleanest header. And I mean, I guess we can be fair and have to agree with Leagues Cup giving him the goal, but it was really almost an own goal. It came off, I think, with Drake into Benaz's leg and then back into Drake's leg, which was sweeping backwards. And, you see Drake kind of lay down on the pitch like, oh, I cannot believe that just happened. But to his credit, got back up and, was let's go for it. But at that mind, and I was sitting next to Mike, and Mike was kind of being negative the entire day. He just wasn't as positive as I was looking for, and I think at that time is like this game's not going to go our way. Like crazy little traffic jam of a goal, not going to go our way. And then Robert Taylor goes down, and then we see those substitutions. And something that we had mentioned prior and discussed, especially in the Discord, was that we felt like Tata was going to kind of do what Tata did, which was put in Victor Ulloa, right? Like give the story arc for Victor Ulloa, because high chance Ulloa is not going to be here next year, right? So they bring him in. I was like, all right, like I like the sentiment. Don't screw it. up, and there was an overhead ball that came in, and it was, Hani was booking it, and he just turns around, like you can see his head up in the air, like no clue where the ball is. He looked lost for a second, and very, very soft foul that got him the yellow. But there were a couple of those instances where there was a full on break, either with Hani, in tandem with Surridge, where like the one where he spun around Kamal, and then it's just a full on sprint to get back to the box to try and prevent it. And little did we know that was not even near the level of stress that we were going to feel that night. But one more thing on the game towards the end, right? We got to talk about what could have been arguably the greatest sequence in Inter Miami history. Ball for Messi deep in our own half, over everyone to a streaking Campana. And I don't know why we weren't doing this more. I know Campana was making some runs, but like he's got so much size and he's so strong. And, there's been times where maybe his first touch has been off or control's been a little off, but we've seen him do things like this where he's bodying defenders. But man, he slows down, gets the defender off his back, and then one-on-one to what could have been the greatest moment. And in the stadium, you just felt the energy just get sucked right out. And it seemed like it was incredibly silent for a lot of people. But a poor chip and then a sliding effort denied by the woodwork, and probably the craziest sequence you could see happen. What was it? I know what we were all like at the same. But what was it like watching that though? What were your guys' thoughts on that?
I was on the floor. I literally like collapsed on the floor.
Did your hopes shoot up that like you figured like it was
when he's
like
going in, and with the last seconds, I'm like, and I usually during a game I'm sitting there and I'm just like almost too tense to like move a lot. But him going in kind of alone, it's like I jump up on my feet, I'm jumping, I'm just ready to scream, and I'm just there, and I just like collapsed to my knees, almost like the same as Campana did himself. But it was like I almost wonder the chip. It almost looked like he tried to chip it with the plan to catch up to it and knock it back himself. Though that would almost
that's
seem
what
a
I thought
crazy,
as well. Yeah.
But because it didn't almost look like he was trying to chip it on goal. But I don't know. And then you look at it, the defender falls down. Campana stumbles a little bit over him, which is probably just enough to get him just wide enough for the goal where he couldn't get his foot around the ball.
That's exactly.
But he could have just gone down with the trip, and it probably would have been a penalty. And then Messi's just gonna sink that in there. Or like, and then I'm thinking like, bro, why didn't you just like bang it like near post or something? The keeper was coming off, like he probably assumed it was going to be chipped. Not that keepers can really do a ton in that kind of one-on-one situation, but yeah, man. What if it just was the most beautiful, glorious chip just to win it? Like that would have been amazing. Caden, what was your experience like at that time?
It really reminded me of, and I'm hoping I'm remembering this correctly, of I think it was in Champions League. It was a Messi play. I think it was against Bayern where he chipped the goalie, kind of caught up to it and kind of just dribbled it in. I thought he was trying to do the same thing, and if it worked, we'd all be talking about it in a different light. We'd still be watching it 5 years from now. So I respect the ambition. If you think of yourself, you're kicking around in your backyard when you're a kid. That's the moment you're waiting for. That's the moment you're practicing your whole life for. So I respect it. I almost feel for him because you could tell he had it. If he was maybe a split second quicker getting to the ball after the chip, we win in regulation, in regular time, and we're talking about how Campana's the greatest player in Inter Miami history. So
and how big is it though that like because he has struggled a bit this season, right? He's had to play behind, Josef on the depth chart, come in and only have 30 minutes to try and find his rhythm, his composure, his confidence again. That would have been that ultimate moment that would have given him that, and that's just the soccer gods give it and the soccer gods take it.
Yeah. And that's why I was so happy to not to jump ahead really, but the fact that he buried his penalty, because remember he missed that penalty earlier in the season, and so after that I'm like, if he misses this penalty, his confidence is just going to be just completely shot. So, but
My
he
thought
nailed.
was-
He hit the penalty comfortable, calm, cool, collected. So
Seemed like everyone did.
My concern in this whole thing was I've been the biggest Campana fan on the Discord and in every chat I've talked about, and I was like, Jesus, if he missed that penalty on Mike is never gonna let me hear the end of it, because Mike is ready to sell Campana off to like Switzerland, back to Switzerland or wherever he was on
Wolves.
loan from Wolves. Yeah. But, I think if the defender doesn't go down, I think Campana probably catches up to that and puts it in the goal. But, fortunately for him and us, we won. But I do think, kind of touching on his limited time we've seen him, I think we're going to start seeing more of him, because I think Nashville kind of gave us is going to give the rest of the league the game plan on how to, let Martinez beat us, let Joseph beat us, and not let him open up lanes for Messi. And to Jay's point, I think his athleticism and size is what can kind of break down some big center backs. So hopefully we see that. If not, it is what it is.
Yeah.
I think we'll see more of Campana in the future. I mean, I think Nashville I think it was a smart idea to start Josef at least, because Nashville has the luxury of having one of the best aerial defenders. Yeah, and I mean, if you have Campana in the box, generally you're crossing it to him, you're playing it aerially. Nashville has probably the best aerial defender in the league in Walker Zimmerman. So I mean, he's probably 9 times out of 10 he's shutting that down. So Nashville, had that clear advantage in the air over Miami. So I don't think it was a bad idea to start Josef. I'm like you. I'm a Campana apologist. I think he's been far better than Josef this year. I think he's the answer, not necessarily Martinez. I'm very curious to see if he gets a start against Cincinnati.
Yeah, that will be very interesting to see. It's strange because it creates a different attacking dynamic, but just like Brandon said, like, if it's not broke, why fix it? Like, do we turn away? And maybe Cincinnati's more of an appropriate setting to do that in, because like, if this whole formation lineup and even same substitution strategies worked for you, where you've swept your way through the entire tournament, like, it takes balls to change that for the final. But I mean, to play devil's advocate, that probably would have altered, Nashville's playing a little bit. But little do we know, right? Like, that could have been the greatest memory in Inter Miami history. But, to be fair, what was about to transpire has also led to one of the greatest memories in Inter Miami history. And 2 pins we go. And man, I mean, everyone's standing, obviously. Like, people are locked arms, fans are locked arms, Nashville, Inter Miami, just like they're on the pitch about to take the penalties. And through and through, both teams, because we all love Drake Callender, we know the caliber of player he is. But even, Panicco, who come in for, what's his name? Joe Willis.
Yeah,
and Panicco's had a great tournament as well. Like, he is quality as well. So the fact that, we've got to go, what is that, 11 pins, right? 11 pins taken. Everyone got really excited. I'm sure you guys did, right? The second penalty for Nashville, Randall Leal steps up and Drake gets a really cheeky save, right? Because he's falling and can get like his arm and his leg up to stop it. And everyone elated, like, okay, like, that's good. Now we've got the advantage. And kind of what we discussed earlier about Victor Ulloa, like, give him the 5 spot, put Victor Ulloa in there to seal the deal as, one of 3 players that is still on the team from the first season. And, it was a storybook, right? What could go wrong? Well, I mean, it's Victor Ulloa, right? He's not known for scoring goals. We put him in there just to, try and clean up defense a little bit. So great opportunity given, but we all knew what the potential downfall of having Ulloa as the number 5 could be. Like, why not Jordi Alba?
That looked like it was set up for that ultimate storybook ending. I mean, I was like ready to just jump through the roof, you know. And at the same time, am I surprised that he missed it? No. You know, it just kind of seemed the soccer gods are fickle, man. They're gonna and Jay, I hate to bring it up, but the 2008 Champions League final, United
where Terry slips.
Chelsea, where you've got John Terry, Mr. Chelsea, that can win it, you know, for Chelsea, and you know he slips of all things. I mean, so the soccer gods are fickle on this stuff. They don't like the storybook ending that. Yeah. Especially, they don't want you to create the storybook ending. They're like, we're gonna tell you what's gonna happen.
Yeah, someone else is gonna earn it. Yeah. And but confidence was not high when Victor was stepping up to the spot. It's like, man, like I get it. I understand the decision and how great it would be, and I hoped for it, but like I wasn't super confident he was about to just like, you know, top
when
net
he trotted
blast
out as the number 5, I knew he was going to miss it.
Yeah,
I knew.
It just felt that way
because like they were talking about on the broadcast. I don't know if that was his first or his second penalty shootout second penalty shootout ever that he's participated in. And meanwhile, when Sergei comes up, they're like, oh yeah, you know, he's participating in penalty shootouts in Ukraine, like left and right. And I'm like, after I heard that, I was like, what the hell is Tata thinking? Like, put Sergei in there. But it's like Jordi Alba's gonna bury it anyway.
But Jordi Alba, that was Jordi Alba's first penalty ever scored in his
career.
But
if you think about it, with the players that he's played with, with the players he's played with, why is he doesn't need to take a penalty when he's got, you know, Suarez and Dembele and Messi and Busquets? Like, he doesn't need to.
If you all can do it, why can't you?
Well, Yoa can't do it. That's the problem. and look, Yoa's always been a nice guy. Like, he always says what's up, takes pictures like with fans. Like, I'm a big fan of him personally, but I don't understand why he comes up as the number 5. And I also didn't understand why at the very end Tata didn't make a substitution and bring him off. Because I thought for sure we had one more sub left and one more break we could have brought somebody in. And I thought, okay, maybe like right at the end, bring in like a Robbie Robinson and have him like 7 or 8, something like that, so that you have like a little more, you know, some guy who's actually shot penalties before, albeit probably college, but you know.
Do you?
The other guy who made me nervous too was Yedlin.
Do you have to turn in a list of your lineup of your order in?
I think
you
can change
in
that
the Leagues
now.
Cup?
You used to have to before, but now I think you can change during.
So like part of me would like to think that Tata was like, okay, like if we have the advantage going into, you know, if we can win it, say in the 4th penalty or the 5th penalty, let's give Victor his shot to have that ride off in the sunset mode.
What I'm curious about is who made that decision to put him 5th. Was it Tata or was it the players that were like, we're gonna let Victor go? Because I mean, we've seen in this tournament, we've seen Messi give a penalty to Martinez. It's not out of the realm of possibility that something similar happens here. You know, maybe the players themselves thought they'd have the advantage, like you said, going into the 5th shooter. That's what I was curious about.
Maybe the players, because that was something else I was thinking about, Caden. I'm glad you brought that up. Is like maybe the players came up with the order on the field and were like, Tata, these are the guys that are feeling real confident and let's go with it. But I don't know how Yoa ends up 5th there. I really don't.
Especially with Captain Messi, like you said, Caden, he gave the penalty to Joseph early on. Like in the wasn't the Cruz Azul game? It was the 2nd or 3rd game.
I think it was the one against Atlanta.
When we see what he did after here, where he gave the armband to Yedlin, he's respecting the team and the players that have been there before, respecting Yedlin as being the captain before he came. So I could totally see him respecting Victor in the same way as far as being, you know, the OG. Yeah. You know, from the beginning.
Maybe Messi's standpoint is like, you don't have to, like, I'm going to earn my way into this team by doing other things than just being the best player in the world. Like, I understand everyone wants me and everyone's excited to have me on this team, but like, I want to prove to you guys that I am a true, you know, team player. And he does these things, these extracurriculars, if you want to call them, that really shows you like how humble he is, how much he does care about this team and wants to be respected, almost as an equal. Like he's got to earn.
Yeah,
I mean, he might feel like he's got to earn the respect as an equal, even though he's light years above everyone else in the league. You know.
But I also think like Messi handing the armband to Yedlin. While, obviously I've already talked about how big a moment that was for me and what a big show of respect that was for what the team's been before him. There's a big difference in giving the ball to Joseph to take a penalty and giving the fifth ball to Victor Ulloa to shoot a penalty. So I don't know how much respect went into that. Like, I could be wrong, and like maybe somebody can ask Messi if there was any kind of decision there, or ask Tata what the decision was. Decision-making process was there, because I would love to know. But I don't know, like, Messi's here to win, and I don't know that he would say, yo, Victor, you want to make your second penalty ever in a final? Here's the ball. When he's got other guys on the team who have made penalties and taken penalties before, somebody like Alba, who he probably trusts to take that penalty anyway. So, I could be totally wrong, but, I do think there's a big difference in saying, Joseph, I think you can make this, and saying, Victor, you got this, my man.
Yeah, and I unfortunately could not make the Tata presser after the game because we were too consumed with the celebrations going on, on the field and all of that. But I would like to ask about that in the next presser if one comes up, which I think
you and that glorious hat made an appearance in the team's Instagram post, I think it was.
Yeah. Funny story about like the wallpaper they have in their like corporate office. Like I'm in there, so if they redo it with this one, just look for the hat, and hopefully I'll be in there again. But
I hate that picture that they have in the corporate office because I get
looking
cropped
down,
out of
right?
that.
Yeah.
I get cropped out of that photo every time they use it. Like I'm directly to the right of Callie in that photo, and they always cut it off right there.
So I got the media assets shortly ago, and yeah, there's nothing before the Cincinnati game. And I'm not going to ask about that. That's just not the right move to do. But
before we shift gears here, we spent enough time talking about bad penalty takers. Can we give a shout out to Drake for probably taking the best? Hold on.
We're gonna get there. Branton was just on a mission to crush Victor Ulloa for the past 9 minutes. It's fine. But yeah, so. Just to recap where we are, Victor Ulloa could have sealed this with the fifth penalty kick, and he misses it. So now we're back to ties, and then we're going to sudden death. And well, I mean, technically, I think Drake had the opportunity to stop the Sam Surge one, which didn't happen. So then we go to sudden death, and we just start working our way through every outfield player that we have available. The most stressful time of our lives. Man, like my stomach was knotting up. It was intense. We wanted this win so bad. It was, we kept saying storybook, right? Or I know someone was asking Beck, I'm like, this is like a movie, right? Like this ending needed to happen. It had to happen for La Familia just to reinvigorate and make everything right over the past multiple seasons. And run through all the alpha players, and then we come up against what I think every team dreads is their keeper's ability to hit a ball that ideally you would like to place. You would like to know where you're going with it and place, and that's not a keeper's forte. Their forte is I'm going to kick this ball as hard as I possibly can and try and get it over that midfield line. Hopefully I can do it accurately, but as we've seen many times, a lot of times I don't care. They just get up there, hope someone gets ahead to it. That was not the case. I mean, I guess in Drake's situation, they said he'd practice some penalties, but I don't know what his strategy on placement was. I'm not even sure if he had one. I think he just thought, I'm going to run up and I'm going to hit the shit out of this ball. Good luck trying to get a hand to it. I was going to snap off your wrist if you even try to. And Caden, I will let you pick it up right here.
Yeah, put it better than Shakespeare could have. But I want to talk about the he boots it upper 90. Beautiful penalty. He doesn't even celebrate. He just walks right to the keeper's spot. He's like, all right, let's finish this thing. I thought that was the coolest thing. Walked up, banged the penalty, got back in his spot, won the game. Can't get better than that.
You can't. He smoked the roof of that net. I mean,
oh yeah.
People want to joke about, he broke the net or, put the ball through the net. That thing, he skied that thing viciously, right? And it was it wasn't even perfectly placed to where the keeper had no chance. It just was so fast. There's no way you can get an arm up there. That is something that if it's slower, you could dive and potentially, get hands to that. But there's no way in hell you're stopping that.
Keepers are usually going to dive to the left or right, and usually dive lower. That's why so often when you see people try to go high, it's such a risk because you'll sky it over. And some of the best players, Messi did it in the Copa America final, and when that was in the U.S., 2016, skied it over. Roberto Baggio, or I think it's 94 World Cup in penalties, skies it over. I mean, so the best players in the world can do that. It's not easy when you're trying to go high to keep it under the bar. You even wonder, was Drake really thinking like that? Or when it came off his foot, was he like, oh shit, is that going to go over? And because that did not go under the bar far, that just made it under the bar.
That could have hit post. That could have gone over.
But he did it. He just blasted. I think he just put his head down, like you said, and tried to blast it. That's what I was wishing Yola would have done. It's if you're not a skilled penalty taker, skilled shooter, just go and just blast that motherfucker.
He was like, I'm goal kicking this. I am goal kicking this, and I'm gonna try and keep it low. And I think he went in with it with that veracity, man. And I mean, just if that was NBA Jam, that ball was on fire. And then to his credit, right, the Zen master with the Wim Hof breathing method. He was even asked about post game. He's like, I was just trying to breathe through it, right? Keep yourself calm. He gets up, goes right to the line, and then makes something that's equally as difficult. Finally was able to kind of guess the right way, but then's able to deny Panicco to seal the deal. And then we see probably the biggest smile we've ever seen on Drake, and we probably the fastest sprint we've ever seen on Drake. I put Usain Bolt next to Drake when he's coming off that celebration. That man was running, and then it just becomes this extremely sketchy, extremely stressful, but iconic memory that will forever be etched into the history of this club, and phenomenal night all around. What was we've discussed the hit, the hard hit. What was the reaction to what were you guys feeling when he made that stop?
I couldn't believe it at first. That I was just kind of in shock, but at the same time I was like, I was confident Drake was gonna win it for us. You saw him in the whole penalty shootout. Every time one of our guys was coming up, he was walking the ball with the guy, being like, "Hey, you got this, man." I knew he was gonna bring us through it, and to me, it was also kind of poetic that one of three guys that's still around from the inaugural roster build was the one who kind of delivered it for us, and I just, I just kept thinking about all the pain that we've been through as a fan base, all the just the nonsense. We've been the laughing stock of MLS for so long, and having to stand it's a weird thing to think about, but I remember standing next to you guys in the North Stand on those Sunday afternoon 1:00 kickoffs. There's 40 of us in the North Stand, and we're the only ones watching the game, and just thinking that was a year ago, and a year later we've won a trophy. And it was just I couldn't appreciate how great it was to win something like this without having those moments. And as odd as it sounds, I just thought about all the pain and the shit that we've been through, and that just made it that much sweeter.
Football is about the suffering.
Yeah.
It's the pain that makes the joy just that much sweeter.
It is. It is.
But going back to Drake's save there, I didn't notice if he did it a lot on the other players, like if he mostly guessed it, but he completely like kind of leaned to the right before diving left, and I think
put
like
his hand out here. Yep.
And I didn't notice him really do that with other players. And it's like here, maybe he thought like he's not going to fake out the other ones, but maybe I can fake out this, this other keeper. He's not going to be as skilled at this. But it seemed that way was just enough to, if the keeper was looking at him at all, he saw that, seemed to like go to the way that Drake, the opposite way from what Drake was faking. And, and Drake was there for the save because Drake did not guess right very often.
Yeah.
In that.
But what I noticed when I was watching the replay, because there's no way I could see Panicco's face from where we were sitting, but Panicco was talking to himself. So I wonder if Drake saw that and was like, homeboy's a little nervous. And then, was like, maybe let's throw a little bit of shithousery in here. And I even think, I'm not sure because he covered his mouth, but I saw Ruiz covering his mouth and talking to the Nashville player after he made his and was walking by. And I was like, I want everyone to be like humble and loving, but like that's a Miami boy, man. That's a Miami boy.
I saw that too. And I'm like, he's talking some shit there.
Oh, yeah.
Good boy.
Jay, I want to hear about how it was in the stadium. You got our perspective watching it at home. You guys were there. What was that like when Drake made the save?
I mean, it was electric. The entire game, like, right, it was musical chairs. You're standing, you're sitting, you're standing, you're sitting, and it never ended. We had fans in front of us that were in Messi jerseys and Argentina jerseys who were Nashville fans cheering for Nashville and also cheering for Messi and standing up every 2 minutes in front of us. So, like, it was just constant movement, and you're never, like, comfortable or anything. But, of course, you can't be comfortable. Like, we were comfortable for, about 30 minutes of game time when we were up, but we could tell the tide was turning. And then once it equalized, to Mike's credit, he's like, damn, this game's not going to go our way. And it seemed like the tide was turning against us. And it just seems like we've been in these games where that moment has happened. We kind of knew that we would concede and the loss was coming. But, not anymore. But in fight to penalties, and penalties can be glorious if you win them. They can be a beautiful thing, something you will fondly remember. Or they can be horrible nightmares that you hang on to, like, when Gary mentioned Chelsea in 08, and I already said John Terry, like, that stuff gets burned into your brain. But to go through penalties like that many, to go through all the fielded players to the keepers, I had never really experienced anything like that in person. I've seen it on TV a couple times. We haven't been like the best penalty team, right? Like, we all have flashbacks to the Orlando game in last year's Open Cup, right? Where Bryce Duke takes a horrible penalty. Yedlin takes a horrible penalty. And then Yedlin, comes up as what? I think he was the last outfield player, right? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So he was.
Drake.
And you have flashbacks to that, and just to go, and I don't know what's worse, honestly. Is it, once the ref blows his whistle, throws his hand down, is it the maybe 2 to 3 seconds where they make the run up and they kick the ball, or is the worst part, the 30 seconds in between every penalty where you're just there and it's constant, head in hand and then up, and then there was one point I had the hat off because it was hot, and then I was like, damn, no, like I had that on at the beginning of the shootout and we were making it, so I put the hat back on. And so then you're like doing superstitious things, and you're all there together, like, in it together with people that we've watched this team with for 3.5 years, right? Going on 4 years now. Brothers that we've made through the suffering, that we bonded through mutual pain. And it's like a breathing exercise. It's up and then, okay, you're elated, you made it. Like, the stress is high, the stress is out. Over and over and over and over again. I swear I'm going to die a few months earlier than I should have just because of that game. Like, I'm getting grays in my beard, and that just added, I'm sure, a handful of them. It was scary, man. It was scary. It was fun. It was on the edge. And thank the Lord that we came out on top, because to go through all that and then And then if we lost, that would have been extra defeating for sure. Like, you're losing a championship. You're losing to your twin brother-sister expansion side. And you're also losing after going through all that stress and all that worry and physical pain that you're feeling because you're so nervous. And then for it to happen and like you look over at each other and it's like everyone knows that you won the game, but at first it didn't feel real at first. You're like, wait, did we just win that? You know, and then the hands go up, right? And then even up where we were, I mean, beer and drinks being thrown, and you look around, you know, you see Nashville fans just like hands on their head, like, oh my God, over their mouth. Like, but you don't feel bad for them because you're so elated. And, it was just a magical memory that, you know, I'm really happy that decided to make the trip and that I was able to witness that in person. And then fans started evacuating. And so we said, let's go down, like, let's go to the lowest level we can. And, went out there for about an hour. I think it felt like an hour at least. And, you know, went through the trophy presentations. Team came over, was dancing, celebrating with us. I mean, even Ian Frey's over there on one leg, holding the crutch up dance. I'm like, Ian, what are you doing, bro? Like, your knees are not built for this life. Stop doing that. And it was just, you know, it was all love. It was amazing. And then once we're all down there, and, you know, the drums and singing's picking up, and not just the team, not just, you know, the Moss brothers or Beckham, but like even the staff, right? Like seeing like Ridley and Chris Allen come over and, you know, just enjoy it with the fans because we've all been through so much. It was just a magical moment. It really was. And, something I will forever cherish. And, just to wrap this up really quick, just with some accolades, and I'm sure, you know, everyone's aware at this point, but Messi finished out with, 10 goals, 4 assists, and he won the League's Cup Best Player and Top Scorer. And then Drake Callender won Best Goalkeeper of the tournament, and I think more importantly, honestly, than Best Goalkeeper of the tournament, he won Man of the Match in the final, in you know, dealing with 11 PKs and making many crucial saves, and not only making crucial saves, but having the awareness to get off his line and go pluck balls out of the air when there was danger lurking. And can't praise Drake enough. Such an amazing game. And now we're getting the bye to the round of 16 in the CONCACAF Champions Cup, which is what this is all about, right? Like, let's get Messi into the Champions Cup. Let's get over here. Let's get that Leagues Cup kind of fun. But additionally, on top of this, there in 2024 is going to be this Copa Interamericana, which is going to be the CONCACAF Champions Cup winners of 2023 playing against the CONMEBOL Sudamericana champions of 2023. That's one side of the bracket. And on the other side is going to be the Leagues Cup 2023 champions, which is Inter Miami, going up against the CONMEBOL Libertadores 2023 champion. So now we're going to get this really cool little extra micro tournament, right? Just 4 teams in it. That's going to happen in 2024, called the Copa Interamericana, and just another opportunity to win a trophy. And I mean, I was hoping we'd honestly keep this shorter, but it's hard to keep an episode short when there's just this much joy to talk about. But we do have another semifinal tournament cup opportunity to win 2 trophies before we even make it to the end of the season. And we'll spare the listeners for now. You know, we'll get into what our expectations are for the remainder of the MLS season, go down the mathematics of what it would take to sneak into the 9th or 8th spot to get into the playoffs, and potentially, technically, mathematically, a treble is still on the table. But let's just focus on the Wednesday night game, flying up to FC Cincinnati, another really good team, top of the East, although they did just get smoked 3-0 in the Hell is Real derby. But we're going to be playing them 7 o'clock is what it's listed at right now on ESPN. Wednesday night semifinals of the U.S. Open Cup. I like how this tournament's broken out. Like basically the next game will be another month down the road. And in tandem with that, later that night will be the Real Salt Lake and Houston game. Quick tidbit before you guys share your pieces. If Real wins, we're going to Salt Lake. If Houston wins and we win, we will have a home game for the Open Cup final. So with that being said, shake off the good feelings, right? Let's get right back into business mode. Let's get right back into focusing because we got a very important game coming up on Wednesday. And what are your guys' expectations against top of the East, FC Cincinnati?
A week ago, I was more worried about it than I am now. And because we still had our long history of being absolutely terrible on the road. The first road game since Messi came against Dallas, probably the worst game we've played. At least, it ended up being a great game and a great comeback and everything, but giving up 4 goals, or our defense was just awful. That was, so it's like, man, are those struggles back? Now we have to go up to Philadelphia, and we crushed them in Philadelphia. And we go to Nashville, and we beat them, of course, on penalties. Now Cincinnati, okay, they're comfortably top in the East. Are they undefeated at home this year? Or maybe like they've been at incredible home record one way or another. So we know we're going in a place that's very tough to play. So I'm still worried about that, but kind of with Messi and Busquets and Alba and all the other guys, like right now, no previous trends that we've had apply anymore. All bets are off. We've been terrible on the road, so that doesn't matter. It's completely different team, clean slate. We've won 2 tough games, really 3. Our last 3 road games we've won. 2 of them have been in penalties, but still tough games. That Philadelphia game was so impressive how we did on the road. So I know that we can do it. Is there going to be a hangover of this? That's where I'm like really hoping Messi's leadership can really come through, because he's played in games where he's got, where he's fighting for trebles and that kind of thing, where in the last week of the season you've got, an important game in the league, then you've got like the the cup games and the Champions League finals, and you'll have all those in a short thing. So he's used to, like, you win, you celebrate, turn around, we got business to do again. And so I'm really hoping Messi's leadership gets them all focused right away, because 4-day turnaround or whatever after a win and the kind of celebrations like that, hopefully they can be focused right away.
Great point you made. They are 11-0-1 at home. So 11 wins, 0 losses, 1 draw at home. To be fair, I'm pretty sure Philadelphia went undefeated at home last year. So I'm with you. More confident than I was a week ago. That's not to say that this won't be a challenge. One thing before Brandon and Caden share their piece, they did lose to Columbus last night, 3-0. Notably in that game, Lucho Acosta and Brandon Vasquez played the entire game. I think that was not the best strategy, if you ask me, especially if you're, already down 2-0, which I think it was for, pretty late. I think they got the third goal late. You're going to want to save those legs, right? They're both the formidable attackers, and we know the quality they can bring, but I think they're going to be a little tired from that game. So that's certainly something to watch. Caden, what are you looking at in this game?
Yeah, I honestly think I see this game pretty similarly to the Nashville game. Cincinnati is capable defenders. If they play Matt Miazga, that's another big body who's good in the air on the back line. Kind of thwart any aerial presence Miami has again. Similarly to what Nashville did with Zimmerman. But it's going to be a make or break game for our back line. Like you said, they have Vasquez, they have Lucho Acosta. One of them's getting European interest, one of them's getting USMNT interest potentially down the line. They're very formidable attackers. It's gonna take a full effort from the back. I'm curious to see if we play 5 at the back, if we drop one of the more defensive midfielders to throw in another center back. Probably unlikely, but you never know. Like Brent said earlier, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But I think it'll be a good game. I think it has the potential to be a high-scoring game. I do have the expectation that Miami will win. I just think Messi's just that clear of everyone else in the league. So I think he's going to be a great chance creator through this. Cincinnati's midfield probably a little bit weaker than ours when we're at full throttle. So I think we take good advantage of that.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not particularly worried about FC Cincinnati. I think they kind of showed their hand over the weekend. I mean, you play on Sunday and you've got really one rest day, and then you've got 2 practice days and bam, or 1 practice day and then bam, you're playing Inter Miami. So for them to go all out on that game Sunday, kind of in being all out by what players they played, not by the effort they put in, because obviously that was very, very lackadaisical of them. I didn't expect them to lose 3-0, but I think we have every opportunity to go out there and win this game. I think based off of what Tata said, I think Open Cup is a priority as well. I think they're going for the silverware. I do feel like we're putting the MLS regular season on a back burner. Anybody who's got tickets to the Red Bulls game, I think you might, or is trying to buy them, I think you should probably hold off, because I don't think you're going to see Messi play. Because I think we're going all out, and I think we probably see a very similar lineup to what we put out against Nashville, maybe with a little bit of rotation, because we probably, we want to win everything, right? So, maybe we see like Campana come in for Joseph. Maybe we give Jordy a break too. He's kind of the newest guy in. Give him a day off and give Noah Allen a start. But I think we probably win it. I would probably go 2-1, 3-1, something like that. I don't see this going. I feel like it's a comfortable win. I don't.
You got to pick one.
Yeah. We're gonna win one.
Between your 2 predictions. Between your 3-1.
Yeah, go 3-1. I'm feeling it.
I would. That's kind of what I had in my head. I've been torn between 3-1 and 3-2. So just for the point of conjecture, I'm going to go 3-2, because I mean they have been scored on. They have conceded some multiple game goals. 3 against Columbus, 2 games prior to that, 3 games prior to that, 3 against Kansas City. They even let Charlotte drop 2 on them in New England as well. And that's really been since July. So I think there's a pretty solid chance here. I'm going to go 3-2. Still think, their attack in overall team is enough. I mean, there's a reason they're top of the East. So I'm going 3-1. Gary, what you got?
Well, I was kind of thinking 3-1 too, but just for the sake of it, I'm going to go 2-0. Let's.
Love it.
I'm thinking that it'll be a tight game, tight 1-0 game, and then maybe 85th minute or after we'll get kind of just the ceiling goal as they press forward. We'll get a counter and finish the game off.
Campana pulls a midfield chip this time.
There you go.
Drake comes up for a last-minute corner.
Up 1-0, why not? Just send it home.
He's got the scoring bug in him now.
Yeah, exactly.
He wants it.
I want to see Messi give a free kick to Drake now.
Oh, God, that would be amazing.
Before we wrap up, though, going back to Leagues Cup for just a quick minute here. Shout out to the kids, man. Kremoski, David Ruiz. They had some good goals. They had some big goals, especially Kremoski in that Dallas game. Tough break for Ian Frey, but in the half that he did play, he was doing pretty well. Defensive lapses of the entire team aside, I don't think he was responsible for too many of them. Kremoski and Ruiz, man, they were great for how raw they are in terms of their development. You can't ask for more. 2 big goals. So yeah, shout out to the kids.
I like it. So what's your prediction?
My prediction? I was going to go 2-0, but now I got to be different from Gary, too. It was different from you guys.
I don't want us to all have to go different. I want us to... No one's keeping track of this. So 2 people can win them in here if you want.
If we can go 4-0 against Philly, I think we can go 4-0 against Cincy.
Well, 4-1 against Philly, right?
4-1, my bad. That one doesn't count. We were already up 4-0. That's when the game ended. All right, I'll go 4-0 over Cincy then. Messi hat trick.
Love it. Ooh.
Okay, 4-0. I like it. Well...
Messi wants the golden boot for the Open Cup.
Oh man, he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
If he can drop 2 hat tricks, I don't even know who has I don't even know who's leading right now, honestly. Would have to look that up. But thank you, everyone, for tuning in. If you don't already, follow us on Instagram at EnterMIA Podcast nope, that was my Twitter. Our Twitter, sorry. EnterMIA Podcast. On Instagram, it's at EnterMiami Podcast. Thank you, boys, for making the time and swinging by. We'll be doing this many more times in the future, so glad that everyone can get more familiar with you on the IMPC. And yeah, man, it's going to be a fun little week here. Wednesday will be here before we know it. And with that being said, I don't really have anything else. Do any of you guys have any announcements?
No, I just want to shout out to all of La Familia, man. We've been through the ringer, going back to just how long it took to even get the team approved, and trying to figure out all the different stadium locations, and the celebrations, the announcement at Arch Center, the celebrations when the stadium got approved by the city, finally getting the team, getting then stuck with COVID, the first home game ever delayed however many months. It's been rough, and we deserve this. So shout out to all the La Familia that's been through the ringer, and welcome to the new people as well that are figuring it out now and seeing the new things. We've got a lot of pain, but hopefully it's all keeps going good forward.
Well stated. It's always about the community. It's always about La Familia and Inter Miami. And as we end every single episode, vamos Miami.
Vamos Miami.
Vamos Miami.
Vamos, Miami.